Subject to banning right-turning movements out of East Lane into Kings Road ground-level crossing facilities across Kings Road, south of East Lane, could be provided by means of a staggered Greenman facility.
Well, I never dreamt that when we started that we were an industry. It, to me, just had a goal of what to do for ordinary people. But when you suddenly realise we've created a whole industry, plain English now is everywhere. You go on the web, it's like this long, you know, where everybody's in it and everybody's doing it, which is absolutely fantastic. And not just in this country, but in a lot of countries as well.
My name's Tony Moore. I'm actually General Manager of Plain English Campaign. I'm normally the first person somebody will actually speak to when they phone up or when they contact us. And I'll normally give them advice about the best way forward, whether it's a matter of offering them accreditation or editing, or even as far as going far as maybe training them in-house or offering them some more open or online courses. We campaign and we edit documents that are public information documents. We do not attempt to edit poetry and prose. We like people to use the full range of the English language. What we're here for and what we do is we edit documents into plain English that are intended for the public. They've got to have clear documents. The documents themselves have got to be easy to understand. They've got to be understood the first time they read it, or you are denying people access to information they need.
I'm the head of the editing department, so I oversee all the editing that comes in and goes out of the building. I'm in charge of the team in this department of about 13 people. Within the team we have proofreaders, editors, quality controllers, trackers, and at the moment some trainee editors because we're training up new editors. We work on many different types of documents, from small leaflets for local health authorities. We even have individual schools send us the occasional leaflet on their school, up to multinational companies sending us documents. For instance, we've worked for Microsoft, we've worked for many of the large banks, building societies, we do terms and conditions.
The benefit of the campaign is to bring documentation to people which is transparent in its meaning and its effect. That brings with it honesty in dealing from both sides. And the Plain English campaign has stood the test of time in being that sort of rigorous manager of the presentation of language. They will very soon tell you that you have produced a pound of tripe, as they would put it, and actually present you with a pound of tripe if you produce something that is really impenetrable. So to be presented with a crystal mark is indeed an accolade.
But basically people will save money. As a quick example, the Passport Office found 52% of people sending in a passport application form could not fill it in properly. When they redesigned it, they found that only 3% of people failed to fill it in correctly. This saves something in the region of 370,000 hours of administration every year. This amounts to millions of pounds. What's in it for them is two things. First of all, they save time, they save money, and they do get better PR.
I'm an editor, so I'm obviously involved in the process of changing documents into plain English so they are understandable. We do that by hand editing, but also by tracking nowadays. With the tracking, because they see what we've deleted and what we've inserted, how we've switched the structure around, it's sort of like a learning process for them. They can see what we're doing and why we're doing it. Once we know the rules, we know exactly what the subject matter is, then it's just the usual principles: getting rid of passive verbs, making the text more active, breaking down reams of text into manageable chunks by introducing a list, getting rid of the jargon that we see every day. The biggest challenge and the thing you have to do the minute you get the document is try and put yourself in the reader's shoes. Imagine you were talking to them. So it's really the mindset, the aptitude of being able to do that. Obviously everyone can learn the principles, but it is the aptitude is more important, and being able to see something and think, how would I relay that if I was talking to someone, and actually getting that down on paper or on screen.
According to the NHS, a bed is defined as a device or arrangement that may be used to permit a patient to lie down, when the need to do so is a consequence of the patient's condition, rather than a need for active intervention such as examination, diagnostic investigation, manipulative treatment, obstetric delivery or transport.
If somebody had told me the first year I started, if it had got to the edges of Liverpool, I'd have been happy. You know, that they'd get to the edges of the globe. I don't think there's a country on the globe that hasn't been in touch with us.
We've worked in this country, Canada, USA, virtually every country that speaks English. You know, we get emails from all around the world.
My name is Juna. I'm a South Korean television researcher and a reporter.
It's only thanks to the media. Without the media, we'd never been able to do it. Without your journalists, you'd never been able to do it.
There's a various way to explain things in life, but sometimes I think there are a lot of people, so-called professionals, are scared of keeping their space. So they think if they let older people understand the language, they feel as if they are losing their control and the power. So at the end of the day, language was developed so that everybody can understand it and communicate with each other. So we have to carry on this little movement, and hopefully, eventually, we'll get there.
The Plain English Campaign Awards this year were great, really. They were fantastic. Basically, organisations are nominated. You're sent things through. You sent examples of gobbledygook, for example, for the Golden Bulls. You sent examples of people who say to you, have you sold us such and such for the Foot in Mouth this year? And also organisations will nominate themselves, in some cases, in different organisations for the Plain English Awards as well.
With the brief to establish Dave as the home of witty banter and as a refuge from the everyday, the award-winning Red Bee's innovative and original creative juxtaposes traditional weekend retreat imagery with contemporary talent from the channel's key content in a humorous and irreverent way to represent the channel's key brand values.
Well, it made perfect sense to me, but clearly the Plain English people think it was rather complicated.
What was really nice for me was to look around at people coming out from the awards ceremony, great big smiles on their faces, having been congratulated for doing what they do well. And that was great.
I work for the DVLA, and we're here for Licence, our own in-house magazine, and we've won an Inside Right award.
Well, we work with the Housing Trust to understand that some of their residents may not necessarily have very English as their first language, or they may have low levels of literacy. And I think it's important that every resident gets an opportunity to understand the tenancy agreement.
Well, I'm very proud that we've got this recognition because it's something that the government's not really renowned for, speaking in plain English, so I'm very proud that we've won this award.
And that was great, having a photo taken with Lenny Henry and having a nice... It was just good to see that happen. Organisations that don't normally get a pat on the back, they're only noticed when something goes wrong, suddenly being noticed for the right reasons. Acronyms. When acronyms attack. Let me give you an example. This won a Golden Bull Award this year. It's from Warwickshire Children's Young People and Families Division. Just imagine what this would be like if you're actually in a meeting and this was said to you. You were sitting there in your chair, you'd had your cup of coffee, it was 11:30, and this is what you were told.
Jeff flagged up that changes will be made to the way in which the partnerships are assessed this year. The APA will assess all partnership arrangements affecting children, young people and families. In the past, the APA was not as important as the JAR, but this will be reversed. The JAR is no longer being scored. The scores for the CPA will be the APA score. So the score we're given as a result of the APA this year will count in the JAR next year. So we need to ensure the best possible APA. This year's APA will focus on a review of our CYPP. All current forms of assessment will disappear in 2009 when the CAA Comprehensive Area Assessment will be introduced. Anybody who strives to make things more accessible and easier to understand has got my tick in the box. So it was a pleasure to come. Actually, it was really good fun today. I really enjoyed it.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Plain English Campaign training course. My name's John Wild. I'm your trainer for the day. The idea of this course is that it will help you to improve your written communication skills. I'll be telling you what plain English is, and I'll also be telling you what it isn't, because a lot of people have got misconceptions about it. Always bear in mind the reader. Don't make any assumptions that, because you understand something, that the reader will. You've always got to ask yourself, hang on, is what I'm writing clear? And always bear in mind one principle, and that is that you're writing to inform and not to impress. Right, the first thing I want to do is dispel a few myths about plain English. A lot of people have got misconceptions about it. And the first thing I want to do is tell you what plain English isn't. And the most common misconception is that it's about dumbing down the language, that plain English is using cat sat on the mat language. And it's not that at all. A well-written piece of plain English won't come across as being condescending or simplistic. In fact, you probably won't even realise it's written in plain English. Plain English isn't about jargon. A lot of people assume that we're totally against jargon, and we're not. Jargon's a very useful form of professional shorthand, providing that you're happy that the person that's going to be reading what you're writing will understand the jargon. Scientists have their own particular jargon that they use, and scientists, especially government scientists, are not good at communicating clearly with the public, and that can lead to all sorts of problems with things like the MMR vaccine, things like bird flu and foot and mouth, because people get confused because there isn't clear communications. So all these areas are areas where plain English can help. Unless there is a significant deterioration in efficient performance, it is counterproductive to attempt rectification.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
You're right. Well done. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
In the past 30 years, we're still getting documents which are 200-word sentences filled full of legalese. We're still getting 32 pages of an application form filled with technical jargon that are given to the general public. It amazes me that in this day and age people have not got used to the idea. The good thing is the public now realise they're entitled to it, and the public demand that the information they're given is in plain English. If it's not, they then start getting fed up with the people that are sending it out.
I'd love to get it into the third world where ordinary people could understand what was their rights, what's the onus on people. We're up there to provide for us. I'd love to be able to do that, and I think plain English does that. And I think it is touching on almost, as I say, I see a globe and I can't think of a place where they haven't been, which I think is fantastic.